Hello everybody, and welcome to Crafty Hour 68. So, this was a fun one to do. It was a beautiful grungy Christmas collection, kind of not our normal cutesy brights colors or pastels. And these were really fun, guys. So I'm excited to play with these. I hope you got to see Joe's cards today. Tonight we're going to do one fun interactive card, and I kind of told everybody to make sure to have your die cutting machine with you because we're going to do a little trick for an interactive card. So welcome. We do have a crazy storm moving through right now, so fingers crossed we don't lose power or lose anything, but if we do, bear with me. We'll either come back or we will reschedule depending on what the weather does. So welcome everybody. I hope you have your kits ready. I hope you're ready to create. And one thing that we're going to do is kind of this fun interactive kind of fold on the card. We're going to do that one. And then we're just going to do kind of a standard A2 card. So probably what we'll start with is the easy one. We'll start with the A2 card. That way, people coming in late or a little bit won't get lost on doing the fun fold card. So we will do that one second. So welcome everybody. Move my die cutting station to the floor. Okay, so what we're going to start with, everybody, is our standard A2 card. So we're going to just start with that one. On your homework, I told you to have a A2 piece of black cardstock. I thought this paper looked really nice with black. So it's basically an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, just cut in half. So we're going to take it and we're going to score it at 4 1/4. 4 1/4. Oh, Star's gonna craft along later. Awesome. That is the nice thing about Crafty Hours. You can watch it while you're cooking dinner, take some notes, and then you can go back and craft again later. And again, it's only an hour. So hopefully you guys can commit to an hour and get a little bit of crafting in and feel crafty. Okay, so that's our first thing. We just have our black cardstock. We just scored it. We're just gonna fold it in half. And that will be our card base. So we're going to do one standard A2 card. Okay? One A2 card. Then in your paper, I had you guys, for homework, grab this piece of paper here. I loved the green to it. It was just really, really pretty. So our card is 4 1/4 by 5.5. What I like to do to just give us a little rim all the way around it is to just make it, so it's 4 1/4. We're going to make it 4 1/8. So that's just 2 tick marks. We're just going down 2 tick marks. And then it's going to be 5 3/8. So that is going to be the measurement, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 for our black. And what it's going to do is just give us a nice little black edge all the way around it. So we're going to cut our green down to that. Now, I liked this corner right here. I loved how it had kind of all the little postage marks and stuff. So that's the corner I'm going to cut out of, and I want to keep this corner. So in order to keep this corner on my trimmer, because my measurements are this way, I'm going to turn my piece of paper, okay, 1, 2. So I'm putting that part that I like down here in the bottom corner. That way, when I cut my 4 1/8, we will be keeping that. So we've got our postage stamps down in the corner. We're going to put it to 4 1/8, which is 2 tick marks over. And then we're just going to slice it. I absolutely love the Spellbinders trimmer because it has all of your measurements and all your tick marks on here, that it's really easy to read, and it also cuts straight. I know that's something that you're like, all trimmers should cut straight. They do not. Not all trimmers are created equally, but this one cuts nice and straight. Okay, so now we're going to flip it. Here's my postage stamps again. See, my postage stamps are right here on the side. So we're keeping that pretty little edge. And we're going to do it so the postage is across the top. And we're going to cut it at 5 3/8. So 1, 2, 3. So it's 2 tick marks smaller than 5 1/2. Okay, and we're just going to slice that. These green pieces we're not going to use anything for, so you can just throw those kind of in a discard pile for later. So what you should end up with is your green piece of paper that is going to fit with just a little bit. I'm going to flip mine. I have a boo-boo on that side. It's just going to have a little bit of black all the way around the outside edge. And then you guys can go ahead and glue that down. Go ahead and glue that flat. And I didn't prime my glue, so let's see if we're going. I'm using the glue press from My Sweet Petunia. These have been in the land of back order for quite some time. We weren't sure we were going to be able to get them anymore because of all the tariffs. But there was able to get another shipment of them. Both stores, as far as I know, have them back in stock. So if you haven't got your hands on one yet, make sure to grab them because we're afraid the next shipment might have a huge price increase on those. We're possibly being told. Okay, there we go. That's it. That's your card base. Easy peasy. Now the next thing we're going to do, I had you do homework of die cutting your dies. And is this die set not fabulous? This was a Spellbinders die set, and we re-released it from the vault. And I love it because it's square. I find square are really, we were talking about this the other day. What shapes do you usually design with? And I said my most challenging is ovals. I have challenge with ovals. I don't know what it is. But square things I find, and circles, I found easier to design with because, well, they're perfect. They're squares and they're circles. So there's that. And for homework, I had you cut these pieces out. You cut out 2 large glitters. And the black glitter I used was from the Tim Holtz Opulent packs. Remember we had these sets that had all the opulents with all the 5 different surfaces. That's what I used. You can use whatever you have. If you don't have black glitter, black mirror would be great. If you don't have that, use black cardstock. Jo used white with her card, so if you want to put white on this, feel free to do that too. So 2 of those are die cut. That was homework. Those will go on the other card. And then you also had a large wood grain. I love this wood grain paper. It's very, very nice. We're going to use the wood grain on this one. So sit the wood grain over there. And then you should have 2 wood grains that are a little bit smaller. So they're going to nest inside of the black. That's the second size down from the outside. And then you had 1 white one, and hopefully yours doesn't have a black fingerprint on it like mine. We'll cover it. 1 white one that is the next size in, which is the 3rd size in. So that'll nest inside of your wood grain. So your nesting pieces will be like this. You'll have these 3 pieces that nest, and then these 2 that nest. And these you can set to the side because we're going to use that on the next card. I just wanted to make sure everybody grabbed the correct size of the wood grain, since we did die cut more than one of those on that. So we're just going to take our black ink and just ink the edges of it. I ink the edges of this because this paper, when you cut it, you can kind of see that white core that's on there. And to me, that white core was very stark. And it just didn't seem to blend and mesh with the background very well. So I wanted to cover that white core. Again, totally optional. I went very dark and kind of grungy on these cards because that's just kind of what this collection's saying to me. Okay, and then we're going to pop this whole piece. Now, It is optional to you if you want your wood grain up and down or if you want your wood grain side to side. I'm going to put my wood grain up and down. Like it's I was going to say a wall, but walls could be either way. So up and down. And I'm going to take foam tape and just put on the back of that. Now the foam tape I'm using is what I call the low foam tape. This is the one that is the 108 feet in a roll. If you have the 54, use the 54. Use whatever you have. There's no right or wrong. But sometimes I like to build my layers at different heights. So for the wood grain, what I did was did the low. And then for these guys, I did the medium. So I kind of built different layers so they're not all the same height. I kind of just alternated them. Okay, there we go. Okay, so then we can go ahead and put that on. When I put it on, I'm going to kind of put it in the center from side to side. So it'll be in the center from side to side. But I'm going to come down a little bit more from the top. Okay, so it's not equal all three sides. It is equal on the edges, but I came down a little bit more than that hair. Ooh, I think that's kind of crooked, but we're going to go with it. Okay. All right, now we're going to pull out our die cuts. These die cuts are phenomenal, aren't they? So we're going to flip, and on page 1, if yours are still assembled, we're going to take this little girl here with her little, she's kind of got her hands on her hips. Hands on her hips. We're going to take her out and try not to rip her head off. I love that these guys just punch out and there's no fuzzy cutting. I am not a fan of fuzzy cutting. And then we're going to take the tree that was right next to her. Okay. We're just going to pop that guy out. And sometimes if they get hung up a little bit, you could take your scissors and kind of snip them. So we're going to layer those two together. We've got our tree and our little girl. That's on page 1. Okay, then we're on page 2. We're not going to use anything there. Page 3, nothing on there. Page 4, we are going to use the smaller reindeer. Couldn't remember which one I used. They're very similar. You like my measurements? Just kind of use my fingers and eyeball it. So we're going to use the smaller reindeer at the top. And he does have a little thing between his legs. So just kind of punch that out. There you go. We'll add that to our pile. Okay, and then we're going to do some more flipping. We're going to flip, flip, flip. I loved this window. I thought it was amazing. I did not punch the little pieces out in it. I left all, I wasn't going to fiddle with that. If you want to, go for it. It would also make kind of a cool shaker window, but we're going to use that window just as it is. Just as it is. Okay, so then we're going to flip, and we've got our bingo card. I love bingo cards. I always love ephemera packs that have ticket stubs and bingo cards in them. Okay, so we got happy. Yes, fingers are the first craft tools. I always say it's the only tool I can't lose. Okay, we're going to flip. And then right here, you've got Merry Christmas. We're going to punch that out. Yeah, the only tool I won't say, where's my, or if I do, we have problems. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. We have 6 die cuts. So I'll just kind of put them up here so you guys can make sure you've got everything punched out. Okay, we got those. So there's our main piece. What we're going to start with is our window. We're going to put our window on there, and we will be tucking some stuff in behind it. So when I put the adhesive on, I'm going to kind of do it more in the center, because if you put it on the outside edges, you're not going to be able to tuck things underneath it. And let's be honest, it doesn't have to be glued down for a hurricane. You just need a little something to hold it. And then we're going to kind of put it down and over. So that is just going to be glued flat, just like that. Okay, then our next pieces we're going to go with, I like to lay them out and then kind of glue them together so I know they're where I want them. So I want the happy. I want to be able to read happy. If you tuck it behind the tree, then you have PP or appy. I wanted to be able to see that it says happy. So that I kind of want to go all the way to the edge. I want to be able to see my H. And you can kind of pull it up and down. And then when I'm happy with that, what I like to do is go in and just put a little bit of adhesive to kind of just spot check it. Okay, so let me put it, make sure I have it back where I wanted it. And I'm just kind of spot checking the adhesive, just to kind of pretty much glue these two pieces together so it holds. Not yet, Keitha. So I just kind of hold those two pieces together, okay? And then what I do, I flip it over. So now I can put my foam dots on it and do the whole thing that. So on here, when we have it here, what we're going to be doing is if you have any muslin, if you have any cheesecloth, you can omit this. If you have ribbon or jute or twine, we're going to tuck it in here. So when we kind of tuck it in, a couple things. We're going to tuck it, but then also we're going to put pop dots kind of here. So when we stick this down, it will hold our cheesecloth in place, because cheesecloth is one of those that's kind of hard to put adhesive and stuff on it. So if you put other things on top of it, it kind of helps hold it down. So go ahead and we're going to put, let me find my scissors. We're going to go ahead and put our foam on the back. So all these will kind of get popped. And I always give it a little squish test. Nope, squish is in the center. Needs a little one right there. Okay, then we're going to grab our cheesecloth, our jute, our whatever you have. Now, I struggle with this. I asked the Crafters Home Stores the other day. I said, I struggle putting cheesecloth on. It just, to me, doesn't look natural. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. So one of the stores said, cut it in a square. We'll give it a try. She said, cut it in a square. And then on each side, kind of pull some and unravel it. Okay? So you're going to pull some. That way it's not perfect, and unravel it. Then she said, pull it on a corner. I think I have way more than what I need. So I'm just going to kind of chop that off. And like I said, I struggle with cheesecloth. I don't know if you guys have a trick or hint. I am all ears. All ears. But remember, we kind of only did part of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of glue under here, a little bit of liquid. I'm going to put my cheesecloth in. So it's kind of playing a little peekaboo. Oh, that's not bad. That looks better than my first attempt. Little peekaboo. And then you're going to peel your foam off and put your foam on top of it, and that will help hold it there. It'll hold it down. Because it'll go through the cheesecloth and it'll stick to the paper in the back. I'm going to put her right there, just like that. Perfect. The next thing, we're going to put a little cheesecloth under here, and I find it easier for me to work. Because I'm right-handed, I find it easier to work this way. So I'm flipping my card upside down. I kind of like the little mess I have here. That looks perfect, actually. This one, I'm going to put some liquid behind it because we don't actually have pop dots to kind of hold this one down. And then I'm just going to poke it in that corner and squish it down. And then you can fluff it and zhuzh it and whatever words you like to use to make it look a little bit more natural. There we go. I like it. Okay, how's that look, guys? Are we doing good? I think the less you think about it, the more it looks good. If you fiddle and play with it too much, that's when we're like, ugh. Okay, our next little thing we're going to put is our little girl and our deer. And pretty much those are going to get glued onto our tree, which is already popped. So I'm just putting liquid glue along this side of her. And then I'm just going to layer in the tree and glue her to the tree, just like that. And then I'll do the same thing with the deer. Oh, Jo says she always wads it in a ball and pulls it apart a bit. See, I tried wadding it in a ball and I ended up with this. I don't know. It's a challenge. I think the less you fiddle with it, the better it looks. Okay, then we're going to put liquid on the back of our reindeer. It's a very interesting reindeer, if I don't say so. And then we're just going to overlap him and glue him there. And then our Merry Christmas, we are going to put liquid glue here and then a pop here. Now our pop, because we're on a low pop and a medium pop, we need to do the same thing on the back. Now Deanna would probably take her foam tape and twist it like that Christmas candy. What I'm going to do is just build my layers. So I'm going to take a regular pop, and then I'm going to cut a piece of my low pop so it's the same height as what is currently behind that to get to the top layer. Put a little liquid on there. And then we're just going to overlap it, and the liquid will stick to the reindeer. Look at that. We're doing good. And then there is card number 1. And then if you want to grunge it up a little bit more, you can always take your black and splat. You know, I love a good black splat. You can splat the black, or you can also do some white. Do some white splats. So it's totally optional if you guys want to add that to kind of grunge it up some more. I love this paper line. It is really fun, and the amount of die cuts and stuff in here is phenomenal. And they had so many great add-on items, the matching stamps and the stencils and the dies. There's just so much more you guys can kind of create and make. So I cannot wait to see what you guys come up with all the scraps, and then also your interpretation of the cards. So make sure to go post all of those over in our Facebook group, the Crafty Hour Creations. Okay. Okay, so that was card 1. So card 2, what we're going to do is kind of this fun fold here. Okay. So we've got a fun fold. So what you're going to need is your black piece of paper, Now I have made a sloppy copy, because every time I have to look this up and be like, what did I do there again? Or what did I do? This is my sloppy copy. So it's kind of like my template. Okay. It's got a little like hinge. It's going to kind of pivot, and then it just hinges down. Now, when I put my paper on, I just covered that hole. You could leave the hole. It's totally option, but it just kind of pivots and hinges. So your piece of paper that you have, this was homework, and it is 11 by 5.5. Okay, 11 by 5.5. We got to do a little bit of scoring. Okay, a little bit of scoring. So we're going to score at 5.5, and we're going to score at 2 3/4. Okay, 5.5 is going to be our first score. So we're just folding it in half. So your paper is wider than it is tall, and we want the score, not the cutter, Kourtney. And we're going to score it at 5.5. Okay, 5.5. So that is just scoring it in half. Then we're going to score this section in half, which is 2 3/4. Okay, 2 3/4. So when we fold it, we have half, and then we have half. So if you want to eyeball it, you're more than welcome to do that too. So that's how your card will look. Okay. All right. Now we're going to grab the die cutting machine, because this is where the creative die cutting comes in. Let me grab out my whole thing. Okay, so we're going to have our cutting mat. And so the trick is on here, and I kind of put it on my sloppy copy. You're going to roll your cardstock, and let me do it this way so my mat is on the same size as my template. So we are going to roll it that way through it. So our full piece is going to go through the machine, and then our 2 scored pieces is what we're going to concentrate on. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this on, and let me show you it with the not cut one, with the sloppy copy first. We're going to put this through the machine, and then here's your score line, and here's your die cut. So what you're going to look for is your largest die in the set. And you can do this with any nesting dies, guys. That's why I love my nesting dies, and I keep them readily handy because they are my most used tool. So you've got your nesting die, and what you're going to do is you're going to lay your nesting die. This is a crease here. This is your 5.5 crease. This is your 2 3/4 crease. What I really love about this die is you have a center point right there. The point and the point is the center. You don't have to guess. So what you're going to do is you're just going to line those points up with that 2 3/4 crease. Okay? Then this is the trick. We don't want it to cut here. We just want it to cut here. So what you do is you put your cutting plate in here, and you put your cutting plate, see my plate? Right there on the crease. So when you crank it through the machine, it's only putting pressure here. There's no cutting plate here, so there's no pressure, so your die will not cut. Does that make sense, everybody? I want to make sure it makes sense to everybody before we cut our cardstock, because once we cut it, there's no going back. There's no going back. And I think I'm on a huge delay here too. Okay, I don't see any questions. I see some hearts and some thumbs up, so I think we're good. So I'm going to slide this out. And you can do this with circles. You can do it with ovals and squares, and any of the fun kind of nesting dies is great. Okay, where did my card base go? Okay, so we're going to put that in. And, oh, yay, Joyce said she did it. Perfect. So we're going to put that die on, and we're lining it up. Lining it up. You want equal at, hold on, let me fold it the other way. My cardstock is so thick, it's making my die lift. You want to make sure you're in the center from top to bottom. Make sure you're in the center, and you've got those points. Those points are going to be perfect for you to be able to find where your center is. We're going to take our cutting mat, and we're going to put the cutting mat right, and this is where you want to make sure you're going through the machine straight. You're going to put it right on those points. Right on those points, okay? and then we are going to crank her through. Oh, good. We're getting lots of did-its and lots of thumbs ups. That is awesome. So like I said, every time I do this, I have to remind myself. I'm like, what goes in first? What is the cutting order? So that's why I made this sloppy copy. So if you guys want to screenshot it or it's just printer paper. It's my sloppy copy. And make notes. This is the way you're going to roll it through your machine with the arrow. It's going through this way. There's your marks. Here's where I put the edge of my cutting mat. No mat over here. So I just kind of make those notes so I can kind of refer back to them and refresh myself. Okay, it looks like we had lots of successful ones. Yay! Yay, yay, yay. Very excited, guys. Okay, so what you end up with is this right here. Is that not cool? And easy. Cool and easy. Look at that. Okay, now we're going to decorate it. So to decorate it, I had you grab this piece of paper here. This was kind of that red plaid. I thought this was gorgeous. I love plaids and ginghams and all that fun stuff. So what we're going to do is first put it in our trimmer because all three panels are going to be the same. We're going to cut our piece of paper 5 3/8. And it really doesn't matter where you cut it, this way or this way. This print, I think, was very forgiving. So we're going to put it in and do 5 3/8. So 1, 2, 3. So 2 tick marks smaller than 5 1/2, 5 3/8. This piece you're going to set to the side. We're going to come back to it later, okay? Then you're going to flip this piece, okay? And now we're going to do our back piece, okay? Our back piece, which is going to be 5 3/8 because it is squared. So 5 3/8. Oh, sorry, I'm writing measurements on a piece of paper that you guys can't even see. 5 3/8. So 5 3/8 by 5 3/8 squared is what we're cutting. 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. Okay? And then this guy right here, this was a happy accident, let me tell you. What we cut off is going to fit perfect right there. Ooh, Evelyn, yeah, it should be the same thing with electric. Maybe starting the feed, it might not grab the plates as well. You might just have to kind of hold it a little finicky, but yes. Okay, then we're going to glue these guys in. If you want to ink the edges black to hide that white core again, go ahead and ink your edges black. I'm not going to on this one. I'm just going to glue her down. So it is a perfect square, 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. And we're going to just glue her flat so there's a little bit of black all the way around. So I can't wait to see what fun flips and folds you guys do with, excuse me, different shapes. I'm going to put my oddball guy there and my upright one. So the other piece that I had you cut a while ago, it's already the correct width too. Look at that. Another happy accident with this paper. You're going to put it in and do it 5 3/8 tall. 1, 2, 3. So 5 3/8 tall. So these two will be my front, and then this one that was a scrap, I'm going to put on the inside because it doesn't kind of line up perfect. Well, it does line up with that one. It lines up there. So this one will be on the front, and don't put anything here where our little flipper goes yet, okay? Don't put anything there. We're just putting the piece on the front. Okay. Now, you have an option here. You have two different options. So we've got this little piece that flips. It's going to flip. You can leave it the way it is. You can leave it that way. To me, I felt like I wanted to cover that hole. You don't have to if you don't want to. If you like it and that way it looks like a cool concept that you can see it opening and closing, then by all means leave it. But I went ahead and put my piece of paper there and just kind of covered that hole. So it wasn't as in your face kind of predominant, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to kind of flip my card open. Now, when you put your adhesive on here, I'm going to put the adhesive here, kind of in the center, because if you put it on the back of the red paper, you might accidentally glue your card shut. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to glue the card shut. Okay, so now we've got that little piece that still flips, but we kind of covered that pocket up. Okay, it's all, the hole is covered up. Okay, now we're going to bring our pieces back in that I had you do for homework. I loved this shape, and I thought, oh, I love it, but oh, I lost part of it. So what I did is the glitter paper is the same size. That is the largest one, and it is just going to line up there perfectly. So you can put adhesive all over this, and it will glue to both of these pieces. Okay, and it's going to line up perfect because it is cut with that same die, same size die. So when it opens it, and it might be easier once you've got it to kind of design it, that. And then you're going to have your wood grain. And this one, I put my wood grain side to side because my object was a little bit smaller. And it's going to go right in the center of that glitter. And I'm going to use my Helmar because I'm gluing paper to glitter. And sometimes glitter is a little tricky to glue stuff to. And of course it is very humid and raining here today, so that makes my Helmar volcano even more than it normally does. Okay, so there's those pieces. We got our gold with our wood grain. Isn't that lovely? Very nice. Okay, then we've got these three pieces, and we're just going to glue all of these together. Okay, get the volcano glue back out. Boy, she is flowing. Flowing, flowing. Okay, so we're going to center the wood grain. I want my wood grain side to side. And then we're going to put the white on top of that. And I did the white because that gives you a spot to put your salutations or your sentiment or whatever you want right there. Okay. Now, what I did with this is we're going to adhere this down on the inside, and we want to adhere it down so when we close the card, it lines up and we don't see it. So see that? When it opens, you're going to see it. But when it closes, it lines it back up. So we're going to just kind of line that up. What I found the easiest is to line it up. And then I hold it and lift and put some glue under there. And then that way we're not losing our position, okay? And then same thing over here. Kind of lift and glue. Now we have a lot of a little ephemera. Let me move my paper pad and stuff out of the way that we're going to dig out for this next one. So there's lots of little pieces. I didn't have you punch them out in advance because I felt there were so many little ones that I know me, they would have all got lost anyways. I would have lost them all. So we're going to take our book and we'll find them together. We're going to go and we're going to get on page 3 the little choo-choo train at the top. Got the little choo-choo train. If yours are still in the book, I'm on page 3. If not, look for that big horse. You'll kind of find it. Okay, so there's our choo-choo train. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything on the other ones. We can always go back and forth. No biggie. Okay. I love this snowman. I was working with him, and then I decided to, this whole sheet, I'm just going to rip out because we're pretty much going to use everything in that sheet. Everything in that sheet. Then we're going to flip, and we're looking for the ticket stub. Where is the admit one? That is overlapped. Looking for the admit one that's overlapped. Right there, page 1. Admit 1. And then in the sentiments, you're going to find in the very back whatever word you want. I used Merry Christmas because, well, Merry Christmas. Use whatever word you want. Okay, and then the rest of it is coming off of pretty much this sheet. What I did is I just started punching everything that's pretty good size we're going to use. We're not going to use these itty bitty little single ones, but we will use like the one that has 3. So just punch out all the leaves. These little berries that are on there, there's little bitty red berries. Those would be cute to put on the Christmas trees. There's some Christmas trees on one of the pages. And that one would be adorable for those. The big poinsettia we're going to use. Whoops. Oh, I just ripped my poinsettia. See if we can glue that back together. We'll have to glue Humpty Dumpty back together again. It's all good. It's distressed, right? Okay. Can't even tell I ripped it. So we're just going to keep punching flowers or hollies. Keep punching hollies. Like I said, pretty much I used every single one. We're going to use that really pretty red bow. I thought that was lovely. The big circle. See what I mean? There was a lot of pieces on this. I feel like they would have got lost. We are going to do the wreath also. So pretty much everything except for those itty bitty little guys. Okay, when it comes to this, there's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong for this. A lot of it is just tuck in, tucky. So what we're going to start with, I guess I can keep that at the top, is our front piece. We're going to take the largest, I'm going to open mine. It might be easier to design. The largest circle, and we are just going to glue it right there in the center. Right there in the center, just the largest gold circle. Okay, Then we're going to take our poinsettia, and I just kind of like to press in the center of it and floof it a little bit, give it a little bit of life. And I'm just going to take one large pop, put it right in the center, and that's it for that one. That is it. And then just stick it right in the center. And then we're just going to start tucking. So you're going to look for this branch right here. And that branch. And these two are going to go in the top right. Okay, top right. The bigger one, I'm just going to kind of put my fingers in the center of it again and kind of bend it. See how it has some little shape to it? And then I'm just going to put set glue right down the center of it. Just a little bit of liquid right down the center. And then that is just going to get tucked right there and kind of poking out. Then this one, I'm going to put a small foam square, maybe even a half of one. Now I'll do a whole small foam square, and it's going to get popped, and I'm just going to tuck it in, kind of layer it in there. Okay, so we're just kind of building a little bit of layers. Then on the bottom one, let me find the ones we're using. This one and this one. So we're looking for those two pieces right there. And we're just going to repeat and do the same thing. The big one, we're going to kind of fold it up, put glue down the center of it, and just kind of tuck it under there and have it poking out as a layer. Just like that. And then this one, give it a little life. I am going to cut this one in half because it's kind of small. And I'm going to pop him. Whoops. I'm going to go that way. I need to trim my nails. They are all different lengths, and that bothers me. They were doing really good, and then they just all started breaking. Okay, and then we're just going to tuck that in there and just kind of have it in the corner. So what I like to do is do things on opposite edges, but then it's kind of like you're turning a dial. So these are the big ones. We're going to turn the dial. There's the small ones. If I did something else, I would kind of turn the dial. So I always like to make sure whatever's doing, if I put something here, I put something here. It's always at an angle. So on this one, I have big and small, and then big and small. I would not want to put small down here because it doesn't look right to the eye. So I always think of it as a dial, and you just chick, turn it, and that's where those guys to go. Chick, turn it, and then those guys kind of match. And that kind of helps you in designing and kind of layering your pieces out. Okay, we have the little admit one. Again, I'm going to kind of pinch him a little bit, give him a little life. Put a little bit of liquid glue on him, and we're just going to tuck him kind of right in here, okay? And then again, like I said, we're turning the dial, chick, so I put something there in my head. Oh, we got to pull that die cut out still. The one that says Christmas. So I'm going to put something there. Okay, Christmas. Is it that one? That one looks a lot bigger than what I used. Is there another one on here? Is there two different sizes? Oh, there is. We want the smaller Christmas. So there's two different Christmases. We want the smaller one. Okay. I'm going to put it on here. This is going to be liquid. This is going to have a pop dot behind it because it's hanging off the area. How are we? Oh, we're doing good. We got 10 minutes. We are going to make it. Okay, and then we'll just put that on the outside. Kind of overlap your flower. Have it hanging off a little bit. I got a little carried away with the glue. Good thing it dries clear. And then there is our outside. So we kind of continue that dial look. So there's our big, then our small, then our sentiments. See how it kind of makes the eye, it all looks pleasing to the eye. Okay, so now we're going to open the inside. Oops, which I just realized we glued these pieces down. We might have to adjust something. I just realized. Okay, I took this guy and I cut him in half. I cut him in half. And I just realized we glued our brown guy down already. So what I had done is I had tucked this in behind here. But you know what? I think I can still wiggle it in. I can. So that guy, if you can squeeze it in or wiggle it in, tuck it in. He's going to kind of be going in that corner. Make sure he's not interfering with your crease here because you want your card to close. And then just add a little liquid glue to kind of hold that into place. I can't believe I did that. I can believe I did that. I was trying to make sure the other thing was placed, okay? So that guy goes in there, and then we'll cover that later with something else. We have a boo-boo, and then this guy, same thing. Nice thing about the Helmar is you can kind of pop it a little bit and manipulate it. It looks like it's going to allow me to kind of manipulate it. Okay, so that guy, same thing. We're going to kind of go in and tuck it. So it's just kind of hugging that corner. Put a little liquid behind it, and that'll kind of hold her down. We've got our choo-choo train. That'll be our next thing. We'll just kind of put the choo-choo along the bottom. And see, I didn't worry about my black finger paint because I knew that was going to go on there anyways. Oopses are always opportunities to embellish. Okay, so there we go. We got our little choo-choo train. And now what we're going to do is basically take what is left over and we're going to kind of stuff it. And again, there's no right or wrong, but we're just going to kind of lay the pieces and kind of stuff them. I have this sharp angle here. So of course, I want to cover that sharp angle. So I think I'm going to take these two guys and put them there. And then I can put my bow on there also. So I like that. So I've taken my two largest guys and I'm just going to put a little glue and we're just kind of tucking it and building a little corner. And I'm covering up this harsh scissor line. We're just going to cover it just like that. And then I've got my bow. I can put my bow in the center. I can bring my bow down, which I think I'm going to do. I like that. Now, I didn't put any pops on this stuff because I wanted my card to close and lay flat. If you want to pop stuff up on yours, go for it. It's your card. But I kind of wanted everything to lay flat. Okay, so on this bottom part, what I didn't like, again, is this harsh edge. So we're going to cover that. And then I didn't like this black peekabooing down here. So again, we're just going to kind of take some of the embellishments or the greenery, whatever you want to call them. And we're just going to kind of tuck them in and hide those places. Oh, I need to put my glue thing closer. So we're just kind of tucking and hiding and creating got an itty bitty little one. He might be good just to put right there. Kind of tuck on that black. See that? So I just want to cover up that black spot. And all these guys here, you can just kind of tuck them. And if you don't want the end on them, you can cut that off. But I felt like we have 3D up here. We need a little 3D here. You can even kind of put one in behind the choo-choo train area, or you could lift up the front end of your train and kind of put one in. Let me cut that off too. Don't need the tails. Put a little holly. So we're just stuffing now. We're just going in and kind of stuffing. And we will have our Merry Christmas, and I did trim mine down a little bit. Thought it was kind of longer than what I needed it to be. And that'll kind of go there at the bottom of the train. And so if you want to tuck some more pieces in and around, which I kind of feel like I want to come farther over here, kind of tuck some more over here. I'm going to do that. And it's just tucking. Just use all those little green pieces that you got, guys. Ooh, now time just flew. Somehow we have 4 minutes. Okay, I'm going to continue tucking. We're just going to keep putting these on. As I'm going to talk, I just want to thank everybody for joining us, for being part of our Crafty Hour Creations Facebook page, for posting all your guys's makes, your inspirations, everything you've been making. If you miss a Crafty Hour, don't forget, we have uploaded all of them to our YouTube channel. Scrapbook-N-Memories has a YouTube, and Clipper Street has a YouTube. So you can find all the recordings there. So if you're like, oh, I love that fun fold card Kourtney did back in Crafty Hour number 3. How did we do that again? It's there. You guys can go back and find all those videos that'll have all your step-by-steps that you can follow along again. So all of those are on the YouTube channel, so you can go back and get them for your viewing again. Make sure to tell your friends and families about it too. That is what all of that stuff is there for. So tomorrow we go live with the next Crafty Hour. It's going to be Crafty Hour number 70. Deanna and I put this kit together when we were in Vegas, and we are super excited for it. I think we've already kind of let the cat out of the bag that it is going to be the Uniquely Creative Mistletoe and Holly collection, but we haven't actually shown you what is in the kit yet. So the reveal will be tomorrow on that one. It'll be 11 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Pacific, and we've already created an event for it, so you guys can tune in to see the live reveal. And at that time, the kits will go live on both of our websites. So make sure to follow the links to register and sign up. Kits are in store now, so they will be ready for pickup and or shipping pretty quickly. And they are, since they are in stock, that means we're limited. So once they are gone, they are gone. We can't get any more because we have it in stock. So thank you everybody so much. There's our 2 cards. There's that one. And then let me pull the other guy in. Do we have room for him? On those. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me tonight for Crafty Hour number 68 and Crafting Along. So make sure to post your makes. We want to see what you guys are making and see what you guys are doing. And then remember, you can always catch on the replay and see how we did our fun folds and all those things. So have a fabulous night, everybody. Thank you for spending an hour with me. As always, happy crafting, and we'll see you for the reveal tomorrow. Bye-bye.